Alright, taking a break from set 13 stuff, we got the new Lyrical Evolution Dress Up cards. This time for Friends or Mimish. So let's begin. But first, the Dokuban stuff, because I didn't go over that. We start off with Stealth Dragon Radol Kuni. Grade 1 80 power and the skills. Auto Rearguard. When your other unit is placed on rearguard from Bind Zone, cost bind this unit. That unit gets plus 5 key power until your turn. If you do not countercharge this turn, countercharge 1. This skill is pretty generic for Dragon Empire decks, even though most Dragon Empire decks do not call from Bind Zone except for Shoujo Doji, in which the second skill literally spoils what this card's for, where Auto Bind Zone. When your grade 3 or greater Shoujo Doji Vanguard attacks, you may call this to Guardian. If you call the card, this card gets plus 5k shield until the end of that battle. So basically, you combo with Shoujo Doji for power, and plus this card being bound can basically do a sneak guard, so this is actually pretty good for Shoujo Doji. Next, Servant Valkyria. It's a grade 2 by taking power and the skill is Auto Rearguard. When this card attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, choose up to one Dark State card from your drop zone. This card gets plus 5k power for every grade of that card, and then put that card to soul. And then the second skill, where Auto Rearguard at the end of your turn, if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, cost put this to soul to draw a card. If it didn't say grade 4 or greater, this would have been good for pretty much any Dark State deck or being generic. Decent with Unrivaled Bruce, I could say that for sure, even though Unrivaled Bruce could be irrelevant. But for the first skill, just a free soul charge with power is actually pretty decent, especially when you get to choice soul charge. Decks like Dread Jewel can even benefit from this because you get to choose which grade you want. Next, Subordinate Monster Salva War. It's a grade 2 by taking power and the skill is Act Order Zone. If you have a grade 3 or greater monster unit, cost Soul Blast 2, call this card to rearguard, and this card gets us 5k power to the end turn. Basically meant to be for Arc Sight, but not too bad right there. Anyway, second skill, Auto. When placed on rearguard, if your Order Zone has 2 or more research cards, choose up to one card without the Sentinel ability from your Order Zone, put that card to your hand. If you put a card, choose a card from hand and discard it. AKA, you're putting a bunch of monsters into your research, so this is basically just pretty decent to just get some resources. Overall, not too bad. And now for the actual set 13 cards, we start with Stealth Dragon Golden Goku. It's a grade 2 with taking power and the skills. Auto. When placed on rearguard by card ability, if your opponent has 2 or less rearguards, this card gives us 10 key power in the end turn. This is only relevant in certain decks, that's all I'm gonna have to say. But the second skill, Auto Rearguard. When this card attack hits a Vanguard, cost retire this unit to draw a card. Attack hit card that needs superior calling for power. I say not really worth running. Next, Wise Scale Supporter Revelina. It's a grade 1 with key power and the skill is Count, Back Row Center Rearguard. All your rearguards placed by your Vanguard's ability this turn gets plus 5k power. It's in Dragon Empire for superior calling. Other than certain decks like Shoujo Doji and Eugene, I can't really think of other Dragon Empire decks that would be calling from their Vanguard. But this does have some future use, but at the same time, certain decks like Eugene is kind of awkward considering that there's another card that wants to be behind Eugene. In Shoujo Doji, this kind of makes sense. But other than that, this card is just a little weird. And now for the Tuesday stream. Here are the promos for Gold Paladin and Gear Chronicle, which is basically the great consistency searcher. And then for Lyrical 5, here's some reprints and new triggers, and I have to say I really like the new artwork, especially the Halloween theming for this one set. And then to the new Friends card, we start off with Irresistible Vibes Annabelle. Grade 1, 8k power and the skills. It has the friend ability. If you guys don't remember, if you have another unit in the same column as this unit becomes friends with that unit. And that means this card and that card becomes friends. Basically, just the idea is if you have 2 units in the same column and one of them has the friend ability, both units are friends. But anyway, to the main skill, Auto Rearguard. When this unit boosts an attacking grade 3 or greater unit, if your Vanguard is Fortia, while you have 5 or more other friends, aka this one column along with your Fortia column along with your other column, cost Soul Blast 2, your opponent cannot use Sentinels from hand to the Guardian Circle to guard the attack. Since Fortia's playstyle is basically if you have max field, you stand, this is going to be a pretty decent 1 boost attack for basically a Sentinel guard restrict. Although Soul Blast 2 is a little heavy, Lyrical has ways to soul charge. Not too bad, especially when we need more friends. Next, Fruit of Special Feelings Valine. Grade 2, taking power and the skills. It has the friend ability, not going over that again, but the skill is Count, Front Row Rearguard. During your turn, if you have 3 or more other friends, your Fortia Vanguard gets plus 5k power, and if your opponent's at grade 3 or greater, this card gets us 10k power. Multi-attack Fortia, so basically gives you more power for an extra attack. And it will be important because Fortia itself doesn't really get much power, so it needs support to gain more power. And this is a free way to get power, so this is actually not too bad. And now to the Dress Up Fortia Full Moon Magic Fortia, which is a grade 3 which we can power in the skill is, first off it dresses up for Mimish Fortia, aka it counts as the original Fortia, which is Mimish Fortia. It has the friend ability on both Vanguard and Rearguard, while at the same time also has the extra ability where you have 3 or more other friends, this card gets Drive +1. And no, not on Rearguard unless if you give it the ability to drive check. So basically, if you meet the condition of having 3 other friends, aka its own column along with another column, it's basically a triple drive. But it's not going to say triple drive for long because of the second skill where Auto Vanguard once per turn, if you Persona ride this turn, this card may be paid with the cost of Counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand instead. But the actual skill is at the end of battle that this unit attacked, you have 5 or more other friends, cost, discard a card that is Fortia from your hand and then stand this unit and then drive -2 entire turn. So it's similar to the original Fortia, but this one has drive -2 without gaining the extra power, which you could say can be worse, but it has the additional skill where it gets itself an extra drive check. So basically, first attack is triple drive, second attack is a single drive. Sure, lack of power overall with Fortia, but with your extra support, this isn't entirely too bad. Especially now we got some extra friends, this is now more consistent. Now the only question is it worth discarding a extra Fortia aka Persona ride to do the restand? Combined with the other skill, you can say it's kind of worth it. At the same time, you probably mainly want to save this for the Persona ride turn, aka still use the original Fortia as your first ride because that one still gets power. This one mainly has the upside as a triple drive if you can't have the full field right off the bat, especially on your first grade 3 turn because sometimes you can't get full field right off the bat. But it's up to you and personal preference if you want to use which one as your main grade 3. But overall, it isn't too bad. So that's it for the new Fortia cards, or friends. What do you guys think of it? Overall, I kinda like it, especially the theming, although I'm not into most of the lyrical decks other than Celestial at the moment, and still is Celestial at most. Ernest Correct will be my next favorite, so this deck doesn't really interest me that much. But I do still kinda in a way like the friend mechanic. It is similar to Paladin decks basically, but in that there's really not much to say. And now it's time to see you all next time.